Hey, hello from my heart, everybody. This is Reverend Sue here, and tonight... Radio. Hello from my heart, everybody. This is Reverend Sue, and tonight I have a very special guest. Her name is Natalie Coletti. She has had personal experience with UFO abduction, and she is part of the MUFON Society, and we're going to talk about her involvement with the MUFON Society and also her experiences. So this is a loving and safe environment for anybody that feels they want to share too. So last week, numerologist Todd, Curran, and myself were talking about all things spiritual. That goes for tonight too, and that is also about, even though tonight we'll be focusing a bit more on extraterrestrials, but anybody wishing to call in and share your experience, that's fine too. I believe Todd is on the line now too, so I'm going to invite him in, and then I'm going to invite Natalie to speak as well. Hey, welcome to the show, Todd. I see you're on.
I am. I'm already on the inside looking out.
Excellent. This is numerologist Todd Curran. He is author of the book, The Mysteries of Numerology, and it's a great book for anybody that loves rock and roll and numerology. It's got some really great insight onto some of the people that are famous,
and infamous.
And
infamous, right?
And infamous.
Right.
And you also help people break down their numbers. With numerology, it's kind of like astrology, that it's like a blueprint for your life, and it shows the many different facets of your personality. And this is a really great book. It helps you really get to know yourself a bit better. So I highly recommend it. It's sold on Amazon.com, and also Todd has a new website called Phoenix One, and that's the number one. Number one, and then Numerology. So it's phoenix1numerology.com. And we have a wonderful guest tonight. Besides Todd, we have Natalie Coletti. And I just want to say hello to Natalie. Hello, Natalie.
Hi, Susan. Hi, Todd.
Hi, Natalie.
Nice
How
to
are
meet
you tonight?
I'm great. I'm really looking forward to talking about this subject.
Oh, me too. I've been wanting to talk about it for such a long time. Todd and I touched upon it about 2 weeks ago, and I said to Todd, I said, you know what? I totally forgot to ask my friend Natalie to talk about her experience. So I'm so happy that you were able to do it tonight. And we're all curious. How did your experience happen?
Well, I'm 53 years old right now. I'm a mother of 4. But I was born in Boston, and I remember actually being born. I remember where I was before I was born. I remember being born, and I remember being an infant. Then I get to age 2, and these grayish white beings would fly through my window and speak to me. And I would try to hide under the covers. But they would place like a needle, or it looked like a wand behind my head and close to my ear, and that would make me feel so good, and I would black out. And so starting at age 2, I was being taken, and I was telling my parents, they're coming to get me. I'm scared to be alone. I don't want to go to sleep. So that's how it started at age 2.
Wow. At a very early age, you're definitely a light worker, a light being, for them to come to you so early like that. You definitely have a spiritual journey and undertaking here on this earth. I truly believe that, and and you're a wonderful healer too. I've seen you at the church, and you were doing Reiki healing. So,
Thank you.
That's just cool. Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, this is not an easy subject to talk about, but it happened to me, and I've held it in for so long. I call myself a UFO virgin because all the years that I was taken up until I was about 19. I would not read about it. I would not talk about it. I tried to put it behind me. And it wasn't until about age 34 that I saw the book Communion, and I saw that face. Then I went into it, and so I was a virgin. I didn't know anything about the books, the words, stories. I only knew what happened to me.
Wow.
I think the order, if I'm not mistaken, was Communion followed by Intruders in Transformation?
Yes. Whitley
Is that
Strieber.
correct?
Yes, sir. That's Whitley Strieber's books, and he's a great guy.
Great writer. He also wrote Wolfen, which was a fascinating story.
I didn't read that.
Wolfen was about a band of Indians, skyscraper workers that were tired of the government and the masses coming in and taking away their land, and they shape-shift into wolves and band against the governmental forces that were raping their land.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I should read that.
But can I throw a few things at you?
Yes, sir.
I did some numbers on you in advance, and your name adds up to, your birth name adds up to 7. I'm a 7 also. My experiences go back to probably 5 years old. Your name adds up to 16-7, and that means out of the box. Your common name without your middle name Ann is a 68-14-5, and it means to forge into areas that others fear. You are like you have less of a defense against these things, because in reality you are not afraid to experience them. And anybody coming in as a 7 is the invisible rope into the other realms.
Wow.
And your first name is a 7, your last name is a 7, your middle name is an 11. Those are all on another realm.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, so, you
Thank you.
You're welcome. I also had some experiences growing up in New Jersey, not too far from I don't know exactly where Stryber was in New York when he had his experiences, but it was right around the same time. And also had an experience at St. Leo College. I'm, don't want to go into my story, much more interested in hearing yours, but these were witnessed events involving the whole school.
Wow.
And even a note left at the scene, but I had chosen not to look back, which is interesting for me because my tendency would be to go look no matter what. And but because I'm not experiencing it anymore, and I'm coming deep into my own, I guess my rationalization is that it was a good thing. It stopped happening. I didn't want it anymore, perhaps, or need it, right. or it's been blocked from my consciousness, and that's where I stand with it.
Well,
at this point.
Todd, it's a blessing just to meet you and to speak with you, someone else who is an experiencer. It's amazing. I feel like you're my long-lost brother or something. You just don't meet people. When people are abducted, they don't really want to talk about it.
I know that my experience was very uncomfortable because I could not move.
Mm-hmm.
I without going too deep into it, I remember that this creature with these massive mirror eyes was flailing around the room at such a flash of speed that I couldn't follow what was going on at all. I couldn't think.
That's
all I
scary.
could do was pray, and that didn't seem to work. And then it shot right out of the wall and pulled the fire alarm. I was on the end dormitory next to a fire alarm, and the school was evacuated at 2 a.m. at night during a tropical storm. I had just come back from a restaurant and hotel management convention at Sanibel Island. Drove back in a my father's red classic Firebird, kind of like a Burt Reynolds one, and I didn't even go where they told me to go when it happened because I was so weakened from the experience. I found myself in a trance, walking around, only concerned about getting my father's car back to the faculty where he taught for the next day, and they very seriously told me, you better head in the other direction. We're going to take you all through a detector to find out who had pulled the alarm. And, of course, they never found anybody.
Wow, that is
the whole
scary.
school was evacuated.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something.
And it goes deeper than that, but, again, this is about you, and I feel the same. Very special to talk to somebody that's willing to talk about these things. I also have numbers out of the box, and the individuals in history that have these numbers that are considered karmic numbers in the sense that they are not going to stay within the box have become my heroes, because in history these are the rule pushers, and they we refuse to block our defensive mechanisms. Even though you said you didn't talk about it, you were aware enough to know, and they knew that you knew, and they knew that you could incorporate the experience and find what was positive from it and have the guts.
Exactly. I remember when I was being taken, when they would give you that sleepy potion or medicine or whatever it is they put into you to make you go knocked out, I remember trying to stay awake. I remember, flying through the air and trying so hard to not go to sleep. I wanted to see what was going on. I wanted to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That must have been some experience that you've had. It amazes me. I know you told me a couple of things back at church. You have some marks on your arms, too.
Oh, yeah. My physician, a few years back, I had something wrong with my hand, and he saw a scar on my right arm, and he said to me, when did you have laser surgery? And I flashed back to the aliens, and I said, never. And for some reason, he grabbed my other arm, and he found the other scar. But I've always asked my parents, where did I get these scars from? And he said, those are laser surgery scars. And I said, well, I've never had laser surgery. But I do have the 2 scars on both forearms. I have a punch biopsy on my right shin. I've got a laser scar under my chin. I've got a burn mark right smack dab in the middle of my forehead. So I do have marks.
Yeah, wow. So you've had a lot of abductions, and you said that you had them until you were 19, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I do remember one that was. I kind of believe that they took eggs from my body. I do believe that I probably have children because I do remember a time when I was about 16 and I was abducted. I remember a sexual experience with I don't mean to sound graphic, but it was a whole body orgasm, and it was very strange. I kind of was in and out of it. I was trying to stay awake with this, but I do believe I have children.
Part of my story was meeting somebody down the hallway and floating out the window and going into the monastery at St. Leo, and I don't remember much about it, and it was always part of the story. I believe that we might have messed around or something happened. I don't know.
Wow.
It was a part of the story I blocked out because it was something written in several books, and I thought I couldn't believe that it would follow. You know, I'm logically oriented enough that I said, okay, well, this is something I read in a book. So that was always the part of the story that I never told because I can't understand it. You know, it's how do you understand these type of experiences, you know?
I know. It's amazing. I just when I hear about what happened to you both, it just amazes me. The only experience I had was when I was a kid. I was in my bedroom, and I just happened to be in there. You know, I used to draw and do a lot of artwork in my room. Still do, but I just happened to look out my window, and I'd seen this aircraft that had a lot of really huge windows.
Yeah.
It was rounded, and it was like a bright yellowy golden light inside. And I remember ducking behind my bed because I was scared. It was almost like I felt like I was being watched.
Wow.
And, you know, I have a lot of experience with levitation and everything, and I still wonder to this day if I levitate myself or if they do.
If they were doing it, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Wow.
a pretty amazing thing when these things happen. You know, you just can't explain it, and you have to be around the right kind of people to talk to, you know, that will understand and be in a safe, loving environment. Because I tell you, it's like I tried to share my experiences, you know, both psychic and other, you know, extraterrestrial, and you know, a lot of times I caught flack growing up, and you know, still do occasionally, but. You know, I mean, it's important that we speak our truth and we tell our story because there's so many other people that have been silenced and they need to hear this. So I really appreciate both you and Todd telling your stories because it's really going to help a lot of people that are afraid to talk about their experiences. So thank you both.
Well, and these experiences are related to numerological frequencies that all three of us share that gives us the belief. You know, belief is everything. To experience these things, and I'll share, you know, with both of you that I've been fortunate enough as I've gotten older to have substantiation for a lot of my experiences. I remember being with a woman, and this is a little off of the alien thing, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. Of you know, lighting a candle and saying, you know, laying on the bed and her saying, look, your aura is spinning towards the ceiling, and I didn't see a thing. And I looked again, and there it was. So, you know, a lot of the experiences, it's nice to have them with somebody else because you have the validation. And I watched that indigo light spinning 12 feet in the air all the way to the top, and I watched it for as long as I wanted to watch it until it just disappeared, you know, as of one of many examples of something that's really not far out there. I've had things happen that are amazing for the reason, for example, that I know that people born on a derivative of the number 7 have unusual abilities. This would be anybody born on the 7th or 16th and 25th. So when I ended up going out with a girl born on the 16th, I told her that she had an ancient lineage with witches and wizards. She decided that she would transform into the very thing that she feared so greatly that would sometimes recede through her looks because I understood. And by her transforming into this ancient Irish creature, I would say, with the wart and 3 feet with the long feet, and then going, you know, I'm laying on her bed. She's an artist, and while I'm laying there waiting for her to come in, I'm looking at this shape-shifting picture of her holographic, and it's somebody else. And she comes to the doorway, and she turned into this ancient creature. She goes into the bathroom. You know, because my numbers are out of the box, I hang around. There's no reason for me not to incorporate this. You know, I don't know where am I going to go. You know, and I'm fascinated. You know, I'm wondering if I'm hallucinating. And she goes into the bathroom and brushes her teeth and comes out as herself and she says, I showed you, didn't I? I showed you the witch. So I have many substantiated evidence, I suppose you could say. It's still taken on faith, right down to studying astral travel and having people call me and say, you know, you were hovering above my bed, you know. Of course, the individuals I chose to go to were maybe somebody that I would want to protect. I'm not going to give any names out, but I went someplace safe. I chose to go someplace where I could check on somebody that was a loved one, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. We have somebody on the line, too, that I just want to let in. Hey, welcome to Transitions to Transformation Radio. And who are we speaking with, please?
Hello, this is Lee.
Hi, Lee. Welcome back. And I know you probably have a very excellent question to ask, so I'll go ahead and let you ask it.
Okay, I was wondering what your panelist there thought about the idea. You know, I'm a very big believer in Vedic science, and Vedic science says that it takes, on average, about 2 million years for a human soul. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I can hear you.
I think there's some alien. There's a little bit of alien interference, so bear with us.
Right.
Yep.
It on average takes about 2 million years for a human soul to achieve enlightenment. And the reason they say 2 million is because it actually takes 1 million, but about half of our years are unproductive spiritually. So when you look at the age of the human race on this planet, it's really not that old. And yet when you look around, if you're someone who's aware, you can see that there are a lot of old souls on this planet. And so what I'm wondering is, what are your thoughts about that people like myself or Susan or Todd or whomever may have done some of that time on another planet?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Todd, what do you think?
I was told I was from... Yeah, I was
what
told
I was going to say. What I was going to say is I've been told by more than one person that, you know, that I was originally Pleiadian.
Yes.
And I don't know what I think about that. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying yay or nay. I don't know if that's true or not, but it does kind of give me pause for thought.
Now, is the Pleiades, is that near the Orion's belt?
Yeah, it's actually it's very far out into the galaxy. But I would say it is close to Orion's belt. It's you know, the Pleiadians supposedly look a lot like Earth people, except that they're taller and they have long blonde hair and the eyes are kind of elongated. But they're very concerned about the planet, about the consciousness of the planet. You know, they kind of watch over the Earth because there's so much negativity, unfortunately, still. And they're concerned because, and with good reason, because our thoughts become things. And, all these storms, all these different things going on in the earth, it is because of, believe it or not, and I know it's going to sound out there, but it's because of our thoughts. Our thoughts, our speech, our actions, of course. Thoughts are things.
Thoughts matter. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And they just, as they're watching over us to make sure that we take care of the earth and basically not destroy it. And Lee, I know Lee, he is very environmentally conscious and very concerned about the ecosystem. And is just very a spiritual person. And that's definitely a Palladian trait for sure. And you had your aura picture done last year, and it was beautiful colors, and it was very, very, purple and turquoise. And as a lot of people out there know, I can read auras, and and I usually see a lot of yellow around me too, and that's spiritual knowledge.
Yeah.
So, it's you're definitely an old soul-y, and there's so much life out there on other planets. This is just kind of like school. I call it Earth School 101. We're all here to learn, but we also learn on the lesser dense planets too. This is the densest planet of all, and when we raise our vibrations, I think that's why all four of us are here, to raise awareness that, we need to bring up our vibratory field. The Earth has a magnetic field. We have our own magnetic field called the auric field. And within the aura contains all memories of this lifetime and past lifetimes. There's 7 layers of it. And there's a health band, and I can see the health band a lot of times and, can see what's bothering somebody. I have firsthand experience, when Tropical Storm Debbie had hit. I always say mind over matter, which I'm doing a sermon on this Wednesday at the Temple of Love and Healing, and it's all about, how we control our thoughts, because our thoughts are very powerful.
Let me interject something also that we need to remember, so that we don't that we remember there is no us or them. The whole universe is working in unison through the evolution. God, being the most evolved, obviously represents all of experience, and these higher vibrational energies are representative of those on this planet that their names are double numbers, and they've been coming here, all through history, right down to George Washington being an 88, Bill Gates being all doubles. Those numbers vibrate at higher frequencies. So we are uplifting the humanity. Yeah. The old souls have need to share their knowledge, that they're whether you want to believe that they're channeling it or they were part of these specialized esoteric schools in past lives, or the Pythagorean schools of knowledge of burnt symbols in the pyramids, whatever it may be. It is happening. There is a lot of negativity down here, but if you even look at the dates of 2012 and 12/12 to the next marker point of in one of many, 12/21, both of those days add up to 11. And those type of energies, those that are addicted or greedy are almost separated from the new mass consciousness towards love and peace. The 2012, 2 and 12 being 14, or drug addiction, or any separation of lower energy, and that comes as polar shifts in violent storms. Almost every day this year that there was storms or wind was on the 14th of this 2012-14 energy, are not isolated. Nobody's isolated, but they are left with their own to work out that own negative energy. So everything is being magnified this year, and that's why there's a huge polar shift in for every violent action that's happening out there. There are those that are uplifting us to a completely different level of understanding of love and how we are all connected in one.
Oh, absolutely. And I had a little dose of negativity this week. and I knew not to play into it. It was just something so silly, and there was somebody at the store, and I was going in the produce area, and I was picking a couple of vegetables out, and somebody was trying to incite something out of me, for something so silly. And I thought to myself, well, I have the choice of whether to play into it and be negative like they are, and kind of satisfy my ego and say, well, I'm going to fight right back. You're going to push me, I'm going to push you 5 times back. But I chose not to. And, I just walked away from the situation, and I'm all the better person for it, because I know that thoughts become things, and, people, this, like you said, this is a time where things become amplified. So that woman was amplified, and, but unfortunately in a negative way, and trying to bring me into that vibration, but I chose not to. So, if anybody's out there that feels like they're kind of being tested, just trust your instinct, and just realize it's the other person's stuff and not yours, and just send them off with love and light.
Well, just remember, you could be a reflection of her faulty perceptions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Whatever that means, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I threw that out there. I thought that was funny. It's like, they say everything is a reflection of our own energy, so I think we need to question what we brought to the situation, and I think the whole healing transpires because you didn't give into it. It allows everybody to heal, and if that individual still feels like an island to the world or somehow separate, then she will have to channel that energy towards somebody else that is perhaps willing to engage. And hopefully what we're trying to do is to end this evolution of engagement into these incorrect perceptions and illusions that are based on fear that are not even real. I think that's one of the specific reasons we came down here in a dense planet, is to realize that many of the things we perceive and believe, because of our lack of experience, we've only been here for a very short span of time, is to through these karmic experiences that we go through, is to dissolve the illusion of fear that's not real.
That's right.
I also. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead,
Natalie?
Well, I was going to say, I believe it's about accepting responsibility.
Absolutely.
Taking responsibility for ourselves, and then after that, forgiveness.
Oh,
you summed it up.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's so true, Natalie.
When we don't live in accordance with the spiritual laws, we create these faulty illusions. Somebody's doing this and somebody's doing that, and all these negative things that have nothing to do with anything but our own reflection of what we are perceiving faulty.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. And I was feeling pretty good that day. I wasn't feeling grumpy. I was feeling a little anxious, though, because I had so much to do that day. But other than that, I was feeling a little stressed. So, even when you're feeling stress and stuff, sometimes, you tend to attract that to you. We're all magnetic beings, and we all attract to, ourselves what we think, speak, and do, becomes actions. I call it the cosmic boomerang. It comes right back at you. So, well,
Susan, if you have the ability to discern, as you did, that it was not a part of you, it sure is a lot easier to let go of it because you're already not there.
Oh, absolutely. The old me, the old Sue about 25 years ago would have definitely engaged, but I'm definitely not that way anymore. I don't like to, now that I have this knowledge, it's like, wow, we can create good and we can create not so good. So, and I chose not to be a part of that negativity, so that's good.
It's certainly not at a vegetable stand.
Oh, I know. I know. Over peppers. Can you believe it? Over peppers. There was 3 different colors: red, orange, and yellow. And I made
maybe that woman was feeling hot.
Maybe.
You never know.
And it wasn't even the jalapeno peppers either. Let me tell you.
Good thing you didn't head over there.
What's that?
Good thing you weren't headed over to the hot peppers, you know?
Yeah. Imagine if we were near the habanero peppers, forget it. We would have
Awareness is everything, you know. There's so much that we got to think about. Natalie?
Yes, sir.
I would like to go back a little bit to can we go a little bit back into your story?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I wanted to say something. We're talking about changing. Something you haven't heard from me about my story is the fear. Where did all the fear go? Because I'm going to tell you something. I did not want to be alive when I was a little girl. I was scared to death. I was scared I was scared of lightning. I was scared of electricity. I was afraid to go to sleep at night. They were coming. I was going. I changed. So, you know, it took prayer, and it took reading some books. It took talking to God. It took me writing and accepting that my soul contracted to be abducted. And it was a job that I decided to take on. So I don't want anyone out there in the world to think, oh, here's this woman talking about being abducted, and she sounds like it was just like going to Walmart. No, it was scary. But
let's talk on several dimensions. First of all, coming in as a 16-7, you would have brought trauma in from a past life, okay? It could also be, and this is what's interesting about it, I've had some traumatic past lives. I'm sure a lot of us have, and I considered myself to be fearful. And lately, I've thought the very opposite. That I thought about my life, and that I've been courageous. So some of these events that we had is because we directly opposed the establishment. We were willing to stand outside of the box. But the consequences for that was could have been hangings or violent through perhaps our means of dealing with it was not all that nice. We didn't like the religious establishment and what they were teaching. We didn't believe in it, and so we lashed out. Now, how do we incorporate that energy into this life with you continuing to have these traumatic experiences? And I guess what I'm trying to do here is go from a narrow perspective to understanding as a 7 yourself that's extremely expansive as far as the ability to entering other realms of why they would have taken you, what you learned from it, and so forth. Is there anything that you could share with us about that?
I'm a warrior. I've learned to be courageous. I've learned to overcome. Because they've taught me a lot.
I mean, seven is a warrior. There's no doubt about it. You are a born warrior. The 16th card in the tarot, the lightning bolt card that shows the church members falling off of the tower of pride where they believe that they have the answer, and now they're going to be struck. Through these experiences, the individual becomes enlightened.
Wow.
So God only knows. How did your life change from these experiences? I know that's a difficult question. I mean, I had these experiences and then I become a numerologist, but I don't necessarily see any connection between the two. My name means occult wisdom. I brought that into this life. I'm asking some pretty deep questions because I'm wondering, do we need these things as part of our psychic recovery, and there's nothing more to it? Does it have to be deep and traumatic? Did you find anything healing about it? When did you go from the transition from trauma to courage?
It took years. Just different experiences, getting married early, living with an addicted, abusive husband, working my way into a born-again Christian church, depending on the Bible and the words to get me through certain things, raising 4 kids, seeing ghosts, studying astrology. The path. I've been through hell. I'm 53. I have such strange stories in my life that I haven't shared with a lot of people yet, and I'm still going through being courageous. Jeepers.
Natalie, the battle has been long and arduous for me. It continues, even right down to having some conflicts with my father, who was a double 16.
Wow.
That these clusters of souls are born in the family by number first, genetics somewhere else. It's all part of it, but it has to do with our past lives and the perpetuation of certain energies to learn lessons. And I commend you for saying the way that it is. I know by looking at your numbers that you have been through some tremendous difficulties. The road for those with the spiritual numbers mixed in with the karmic numbers, which are representative of high evolutions of growth through trauma, God bless you, because you have so much to share with other people. And the individuals that have these numbers are misunderstood often because they stand on the very edge of the mountain to try to motivate other people out of their own fear. It's hard to understand what Evel Knievel was here to do as a double 14, but what he'll tell you is that he always showed up for his jump, and he, so it's really hard for us to understand this type of energy. Einstein was born on the 14th. He was absolutely out of the box, didn't know what color his socks was. He was on another level. And yet the individuals throughout history, Stephen Hawking, Edison, containing these numbers to stand on the very brink so that you can bring the humanity to the next level by saying, this is what's out there, And by opening to this, it will take you here. I'm pointing up, by the way.
Todd, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you think that anybody in your family is involved with alien abduction?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Well, believe me, they don't always talk about it because my father passed away not discussing it with me. A medium brought my father through not too long ago, and my dad said, the aliens, Natalie, UFOs, I understand. So I do remember seeing him on a ship, but he would never discuss it with me. So it seems to be a generational thing.
Yes. Did you ever see that miniseries Taken that was out years ago? Steven Spielberg had produced it, and it was about a couple of generations of one family that was being abducted. And it's not based on anything true, but but I do suspect that there are generations of people that are continually abducted and, reevaluated from time to time.
Well, I'm sure that there is a structure of the pattern of the numbers being energy, as to the people that are taken. I mean, Spielberg is an 88-16-7. He would be very susceptible to having visions. George Washington was an 88-16-7. He had visions of the outcome of the war. M. Night Shyamalan is an 88-7. So some of us, if not all of us, expand into other worlds to incorporate and expand our consciousness. The reason outside of that is not necessarily important for us to know. The tool that gets us there.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, Natalie, I was just curious. Now you're a member of the MUFON group, right? MUFON Society. Yeah. And I know that I'm sure you've received much comfort and companionship there. And I just wanted you to talk a bit about the MUFON Society, if you would, please. So other people can know. Maybe there's a place where they can go to to talk with somebody about experiences.
Well, I just started going there. You can, see who they are online. It would be MUFON Meetup stpete.com. It's a meetup group. And I do believe they're meeting at the St. Petersburg Public Library, the main library, on 9th Street, December 29th. And anyone's welcome to come. But I've only been there for a few times, and I was so nervous, and I just wanted to sit next to people and say, have you been abducted? I just wanted to touch somebody else who's been abducted. It's just very exciting.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And it's so nice to be talking to people that have had the same or similar situations. You can really form a bond.
Well, people are people, and I'm pretty gullible, and I think the world is a wonderful place, and people have to realize that we all have personalities, and just because somebody's psychic doesn't mean they're terrific, wonderful people, and just because someone's been abducted doesn't mean they're wonderful. That's something I've had to learn.
Yeah.
I tend to put people up on a pedestal.
Well, we love to make comparisons, and all we're dealing with is energy. There is no better or lesser experience with anybody. There was a kid that hit all the baskets in a basketball game, and that in itself could be a lonely experience if you didn't perceive it correctly. Natalie, throw a birth date at me of yours.
My birthday?
Yeah.
I'm June 25th, 1959.
Okay, so in here you're born on a 7-day, on top of having all those sevens. That's just amazing,
Yeah.
You're a star child. 2 and 5 are 7.
Now, what is a star seed person or a star person?
Oh, I don't know. I just threw that out. Susan?
I know. Yeah, I actually know. It's someone that's sent here to Earth, much like the Palladians, to heal and to educate, the people on Earth to raise their vibrations. And star seeds are, light workers, people that work, like Reiki masters, anybody that does energy work, healing work of that nature. Anybody that wants to heal the planet and heal other people. A lot of them, majority of them are star seeds. They've come here to help to serve others.
Natalie, people that are sevens are interested in futuristic technologies. I wonder if that's one of the reasons that you've been taken, is to incorporate some information that is inventive in its nature of the frequency of how you talk, or something that you would invent in time for the evolution of the planet. I often see spiritual technologies when I'm in trance. I don't know if you go in trance, but that's the realm of the seven also.
Well, I can tell you that when I was asleep, I was having an out-of-body experience, and the aliens visited me. I have problems with my intestines, and they're working on me. But they brought me. I became a point of life, and they also did. We entered my body, my physical body, and we checked my liver, my kidneys, and my intestines, and they said, she's okay. And I remember waking up and saying, I'm not okay. Come back and help me.
Wow.
How much work are they doing on us? I mean, I go into these meditations, or I used to, and I used to smoke in my 20s. Luckily, gave it up. They've showed me X-rays of my lungs, and if I stop, they'll clear up. And trying to show me my body image and to get comfortable with it, and that I look different than I think I did. And there's all kinds of work going on. I wrote a book and had these two women say that I wrote like this Scottish poet, and I was going to, but he's going to become a lawyer. I mean, where does all this come from? Who are these people out there that we are communicating with constantly that's coming through to us? Sometimes I have to tell them to get out, like I told Susan the other day, because it might be a nurse and it has nothing to do with nothing that I know about. Occasionally, I will draw some energy in that I don't know what it's related to me at all. I don't know if I'm picking up what's in the room. I go to hotels on vacation, and I'm dreaming about a black father and his son, and they're discussing things. I mean, it's fascinating. That happened when I was in St. Augustine. It's like I entered somebody else's world, you know?
Wow. There's an experience that I had when I had gotten very sick. I used to work for the Postal Service, and I went to get a doctor's note from my doctor because I had cancer at the time. It was the first, I think it was the first time I had cancer, and I went to get a doctor's note, and I remember it wasn't sufficient enough for the Postal Service, so I had to go back and get another one. I was so stressed out, and then all of a sudden, it's like this great big, it's like a veil. It's you ever see those pocket doors that are in people's homes? But it was almost like it was like a virtual pocket door. It was just like everything, the whole scenery around me went black, and then I was waiting at the desk. There was a receptionist there, and then by the time I snapped out of it, the receptionist was gone. It was almost like there was a time lapse, and I was just standing there alone, just waiting for this note, and I didn't know what was happening in between the time I was there with the receptionist and the time where I snapped out of it and she wasn't there. And
wow.
That's happened to me several times, and I haven't been able to explain that. And I'm just curious if you've had any experiences like that, either, Natalie or you, Todd.
No.
Susan, I'm going through, and it could be because I had so many tape recordings of inventions, programs, flyers I haven't finished that I have a lot of missing time. But that's starting to clear because I'm dealing with details a little better. That sounds maybe a little too tangible for the show, but it's a reality. I'm a Capricorn. I am definitely earthbound.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that on the other end? Natalie?
I was just going to ask you, are you a serious Capricorn?
I am a Capricorn that if with Scorpio rising, I'm definitely a serious Capricorn. If I was not a Capricorn, I would not be tethered here at all.
You're an inventor too.
I I have many sevens in my name. Edison, many of the inventors. I have the same numbers correspondence as Edison, although Edison was born on the 11th, giving him more visionary abilities. I'm born on the 6th, which is a love of art and music, so that my invention would deal with aura machines and numerological mathematical frequencies to understand the energy field around us and how to manipulate it through biofeedback and communicating in a more positive way. This is something that I went to a reader, and she came out with this picture of this alien with all these numbers around her before she even got to me. And she said, I had this waiting for you, and that I had this individual working with me with numbers, and still got the picture, and that I would invent this machine in time. And it's like, hey, will always be a skeptic. I already knew I wanted to invent this machine. She could have easily been picking up on my thoughts, but nonetheless, she hit it right on. That's trying to understand how these energies are differently. So when I go to this convention in Sun City on January 12th, and I have these two women sitting next to me that are dealing with aura machines, I have to ask myself, I certainly didn't plan it. It was planned for me, So to be aware once again of maybe getting involved in that technology so that I can understand the correspondence between the numbers and the colors and so forth. I don't know if this is something that we do here, we do in the other realms. I've seen the televisions of the future. They're like cranes. They're cranes that move around with beautiful music that's in unison to the screen. I think I don't even know if you're watching TV in this case. These look more like they're healing devices. And you move in rhythm to the music and the colors on the screen.
Wow. I think Edgar Casey talked about stuff like that, didn't he?
I don't know. I don't know that much about Casey.
I know he was sure. He could see things way into the future, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's seen that.
Yeah. Sounds like Casey, but Todd, I'm behind you all the way. My prayers are with you, and I hope that you just keep going forward with what you're doing, because it sounds like we really need you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Likewise. We're all on the outer frontier here. Trying to make things happen, I have to remember occasionally to go get a comedy, and settle back knowing that, we're all taken care of down here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have infinite time to do these things. There actually is no pressure whatsoever. We are constantly taken care of. The universe is constantly shifting to our needs. That's why it's rare you can find anybody to predict the future, because like a prism, it shifts for our needs, the people that come in to our lives, based on moment to moment.
Yes, that's so true. And, always, and now that we're all being conscious of our emotions, our feelings, and that we're all mirrors for each other, it just, it really makes life a lot easier. And, and I understand so much more now,
Natalie, let me share something with you that I don't want to put Susan on a pedestal here tonight, but Susan has been so helpful to me. I have a lot of ones, as Susan does, and so there's a lot of time. Ones are inventors also, and sevens, and they spend a lot of time alone trying to formulate new things that aren't necessarily understood and we all have our crosses. It's also more of a blessing. In the end, it's nothing but a blessing. It's how we look at it. In fact, we'll leave the crosses out of it altogether. But Susan has, helped me make flyers recently. She has created this website so that I can throw on there these 3 numerological divination programs that all I need is a programmer for it. This visionary art I want to sell, this future technologies supplies that, including mind machines and biofeedback, that I would like to sell, and to finally have that formulated. I've had that vision for so long, and to just see it on the screen, to have it up there, and it says coming soon and so forth. Susan has completely expanded my world, and I believe I have done the same for her.
Oh, absolutely, Todd. I've learned so much about numerology thanks to you. It's been a science. I was learning about astrology for a while, and now it's time for me to learn about numerology as well, because it is such, a healing tool. It's much like astrology, where you understand the different facets of your personality, what motivates you, what demotivates you, and it really connects you to yourself, to your core. So it's a blueprint for your life.
I like that. It definitely directs you to your core, and because we can tend to be hard on ourselves, and there are people that don't want to look at their charts, and the reason is because we tend to compare what we don't have with what other people do, which is really destructive in itself, because we're all connected. That's why we meet other people that have what we don't have. It's a balancing act. It's not actually a comparison. On the other hand, I can see the value of the ego making these comparisons, because through that, the law of attraction, we get what we don't have from other people. What we need to do is accept the fact that these individuals that have greater knowledge in certain areas are not trying to lord it over us. They just have it. That's where we get in trouble with the numbers. I'm missing an 8, which would have to do with coming into my own and financial power, but I have an 8 destiny, and I'm an 88, and I have 17 letters in my name, which is also an 8. So it becomes even more imperative for me to learn about that energy. So who's my father? Well, he's an 80. He comes in as an 8. He comes in as an 80, which is more powerful than an 8 because the 0 magnifies it. And who do I have the problem with? The individual that already knows how to hold power, that knows about management, And all I'm trying to say is, with this core understanding, Susan and Natalie, we can go farther into the acceptance of what other people are to teach us without being resentful about it. The realizing that they're really here to help us. It's our own shadow aspects we reflect to these individuals that create the block.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Natalie. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that I read tarot cards, and I'm starting to learn the numbers and how they relate to the tarot card. I'm also learning how each number corresponds to each planet. So there's just so much to learn.
Hey, right there, Natalie, you got it. That's the big 3. I talk about this early in my book. It's always about those 3 synergistic powers that work in unison. I started with tarot until I found a numerology system within the tarot, and that sprung me off from the numbers, and then back to the tarot, and then into the planets. The sun being related to Leo, and the Magician card, and Aries, and it's amazing, how you can just spring off of each of these systems. And if people can't understand one, the synergistic effect of all 3 of them, it's undeniable, the connection between even the karmic numbers, such as 14, and the Temperance card in the tarot, which is really because it's a karmic number, is really reversed around into intemperance, or the incorrect mixture of. So you got your host of alcoholics, and I like to say movers and shakers, because I didn't have a problem with James Douglas Morrison. Jim Morrison I have on a shirt in here, and I try to understand and accept the type of energy that these individuals came in, because they pay a great price for, forging into this brand new territory,
Oh, yeah. And not only, Jim Morrison, I guess you could say he was a visionary, he was a musician, and a madman.
Yeah, exactly, and a madman, right? He would incorporate all that my book is about, all in one.
Todd, what about Jimi Hendrix?
He was a 14 also. Janis Joplin. I mean, they're all, they are here to, I'm trying to think of, what was that song? Jimi Hendrix was an out-of-body experience, and that's what these individuals were trying to symbolize.
Wow.
Definitely. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. Heath Ledger, 14. Whitney Houston, 16. Amy Winehouse, born on the 14th. Her name adds up to 14. I mean, I didn't know who Amy Winehouse was. I just knew that I said, geez, I got to do her numbers. I wonder if she's a 14,
She was amazing.
And she's brilliant. I mean, so, God bless these people. What is so interesting about these 14s, and hers is a perfect example. In the video, I don't know if you guys saw the video they all showed of her where she's walking down the street and there's a bunch of people following her. It's the only video I ever saw hers. I don't know the song. Huh?
Oh, I never seen that one, but I love her song Rehab. And I've seen
Rehab.
that. Yeah.
But anyway, she's walking down in the city street, and I think this is what they kept showing on TV right after she died. And she's singing and she's talking and she's completely detached from the people that are following her. Well, that's a 14. If you look at the video and you look at the energy of people and you say, she's already not here. I saw that this happened with Christopher Reeve. I saw an interview right before his accident, and I said, there's something not right. He's not here. He's not attached. And Reeve was a 14, and also has to do with speed, like Evel Knievel or jumping or, we can see in these people's energy fields that there's something coming up, And actually, it's a no-brainer if you think about it. If we're aware enough, we're all seeing this in other people and measuring it. It's just a lot of the times, or for a lot of us, we don't want to see it. Or we have our own issues,
Absolutely. I always wondered, people that are addicted, to narcotics and to alcohol. I heard that the god Asna, somebody, I believe Sylviane had told me, my friend Sylviane had told me that a lot of people that are alcoholics and that are addicted to drugs, they're from other planets, from other realms of consciousness originally, and they just can't deal with being here on this dense earth plane. It's just...
Well, I love those theories because I spend a lot of time talking about these karmic numbers because I have some of them and I want to be comfortable with them. The individuals that have them certainly act like they are very uncomfortable down here because the definition of all the karmic numbers is that they're not attached to the material realm at all. They don't want to show up for the show. They don't want to follow the clock, and they don't.
No,
and this
not
is
at
where
all.
they get in problems in relationships. They are not materially oriented. That's what's unusual about them. And the conflict with these numbers is they're dual. And so in everyday relationships, it's almost like dealing with two people. because they're not here. They want to be. I mean, everybody wants to be connected, you know, and yet they have a very hard time doing it, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's almost actually they're not afraid to drift off at all. They're already going into those other realms, and I think people like that probably don't know where they're at when they pass on because they're still at the party.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that something? Yeah, I mean it happens. Their lives move so quickly. Elvis Presley was a double 14. I don't know if he had time to catch up to what happened. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and 14 deals with sex addictions. Also, 1 in 4 being 5, indulgence in the 5 senses. You had Clinton with a 14 destiny and Lewinsky board on the 14th meeting where they're going to do a karmic dance, you know. And I have people say, well, you know, with all the politicians that, you know, have affairs and stuff, why do they get blamed for it? I say because they perpetrated this energy from past lives, so it is strong. In other words, the karma has to be dealt with in this lifetime. That's why it's written within those numbers, you know. Whereas another politician might not have those numbers fabricated yet, right? They haven't come to manifestation. In fact, having the karmic numbers could also be a sign of being an old soul because the person is projecting or working to eliminate the worst aspects or the shadowy aspects of their personality to forge into new creative fields. But having said that, I think of the double numbers as being more so because they're not necessarily prone to addiction other than in the sense that they can control information, the double numbers, the 33s, Bill Gates a 22, a 33, and a 55. He can control the information, but because those numbers are so high-strung, you know, then there can be addiction with those numbers, but I find that to be rare. Presley was a 77, so Presley came in as a master, but the problem with 77 is that it's got a 14 behind it, you know.
Right.
You know? So they've got to battle with these two numbers. Winfrey's a 77-14, so it could be food addictions or no sexual boundaries early on. Whatever she went through, I don't know much about her. Jean-Claude Van Damme is a 77. Well, you know, he bipolar disorder, drug use, many marriages, you know, it's always written. It's always written. Eddie Van Halen, 77-14, you know, 77's great, being tremendous specialist. He carves his own guitars, you know. Recovering alcoholic. I think he lost part of his tongue because he started smoking again, you know. I had to kind of laugh at it in the sense there's an example where the person's really struggling with the addiction. When it takes part of your physicality, you know you're dealing with it. You can see it, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And if you're Gene Simmons, he'd have a real problem because he has a hard time keeping his tongue in his mouth.
Definitely. I like the way you put that.
Especially when he's on stage.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is all, it's just amazing because we all come here for these specific reasons and then we're gone. And we try to understand the level of mystical proportions that we all are here to serve to other people, and we can't. If we ever realized, Susan and Natalie, just how important we are. When I was on Bay News 9 and I did that 12-12-12 skit, yeah, for a 12-year-old. It was her birthday. And I went so deep into that, and this girl was there specifically to bring in this ancient wisdom, this ancient truth, And, of course, all that gets glossed over on, they're not going to talk about that on Bay News 9, but it's my job as a numerologist to it gave me an opportunity to go deep, and I was hoping that going to this core would be to some advantage for me. Well, it was, because I learned a lot about what my relationship to this girl was and what 12-12-12 meant. I studied all about the polar shifts and tried to go to the astronomical level and all that, but having to learn it within 4 hours, of course, I realized I was going to have to fall back on my numbers because, you don't try to become an expert at anything in a short period of time. We became experts in things over thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours, thousands of years that we brought in this energy to learn this stuff. So that girl was here to bring a very deep message. That didn't get out to the televisions and so forth, and that's fine. But all I'm trying to say as a 7, and Natalie, you know what this is like, there's a much deeper level of what we're here to do. I had a friend of mine was reading that I'm supposed to heal people on I don't remember exactly what it was, but on a profound level. I was talking about the woman that I went out with that had turned into a witch, to be able to go to those levels where the individual can extract some of those parts that they don't like about themselves, that they are afraid of. And now when I'm thinking about this, Natalie, and thinking about your experiences, is I wonder if they extracted those fears that you had through the experiences that you had in the close encounters that you experienced.
That sounds about right. And would you also say that we're mirrors for people?
Absolutely.
There's no way around that one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What about... Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, that's okay. You go ahead, Natalie.
Well, I was going to ask both of you what you think about there are people saying that the aliens are here to hurt us, or they're here to take over, or...
Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, okay, thanks. I hear so many different things, like the Pleiadians are here to watch over us and make sure that we basically, don't destroy ourselves and the planet. But I also keep hearing about these lizard aliens, these reptilians that are in control of the government, and that's in control of money, and I hear so many things that they are opposite of the Pleiadians, and that they're just all about greed, money, sex, and all that,
power.
And power. And there's so many things on YouTube that I was very surprised to see. Like a lot of the Disney movies, there's a lot of sexual connotations in their movies. If what I'm seeing is correct. And also the Harry Potter movies, which I absolutely love the Harry Potter movies, but, it was illustrated that the word sex was spelled out like in Dumbledore's, that long nightcap-looking hat that he wore. There's a lot of videos about that, and the reptilians, they're claiming that the reptilian aliens are pretty much all about greed, money, and sex. And,
I think it's very important for us to remember that we manifested this energy, all of us, through our thoughts, and that, in fact, that this realm of existence pretty much is an illusion to where we're going when this is over. So we need to understand, if we buy that premise that most of what we see is an illusion based on faulty perceptual visions over a short span of time of our experiences, where we have not evolved to the point of seeing things in correct form and dealing with a world of the five senses as opposed to the 6 or 7. It's difficult to do here on this dense planet, but that I would like to think that there are no friends or enemies. There's only teachers. And my experience is, I would like to think that they were horrible because it wasn't a good experience, but I didn't wake up with a broken arm or anything. I mean, I've gone through some I remember some rough days back in high school.
Oh, yeah. It's all about, like you said, all about perception, and it's all about, just kind of peeling that onion of illusion, to seek the truth. And I think, how we do that is by taking a good hard look at ourselves and just, just saying, okay, this person is a mirror of me. Is this of what I judge, what I'm missing in my life, what got taken away? And that was an important lesson to me. And folks, I can't, I can't promote this enough. Greg Braden had come out with 7 is Seen Mirrors, and it was all about how we all mirror each other and what these people represent. And, and I think when you take a good hard look at yourself and say, like I did with that lady, just over Peppers, I was saying to myself, okay, does she represent what was lost, what was taken away? Was I just in a bad mood that day? I don't know. I was feeling good, and I was just, just feeling a little stressed because I had a lot to do, and my energy reflected that, and she reflected it back to me. And, and I realized at that moment, it's like, wow, that's the energy I'm putting out. I have to change it. And I didn't like to think that because I didn't want to think I was putting that energy out, but actually I did.
Susan, so I have also had the experience of being in a place and saying that is not my experience. And what's interesting about that is that it has no effect on you whatsoever. You could be in the middle of a bank robbery having that revelation, and that's one of the most fascinating experiences, because if you're living in spiritual accord, or, in accordance with the spiritual laws, those experiences don't touch you. It's almost like the Indian that's invisible through the gunfire because he's already transcended the experience through its thoughts. Have you ever experienced that where you were not a part of it and you knew it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They talk so much about the law of attraction. We have to think of time periods where we're almost invisible to the causes of what's going on around us, and give it a little bit of, to know the difference.
Yeah, true. Very true. Because, honestly, I was feeling pretty good that day, except a little bit stressed on time. But, I was thinking to myself, okay, what am I putting out? But I'm glad that you said what you said because, it could be I was just, I was just doing my own thing and, and this energy had come along. So, thanks. I feel a lot better.
I think we're here to heal, and I think we have to be very careful of what we tell people. How many times have you talked to somebody and they will tell you something that has nothing to do with yourself, and it has everything to do with them? It's the difference between cheap counseling and somebody who has attained a level of mastery, at least in that moment, because a master is going to tell you what heals you. A counselor that has their own shadow work to do, that's why they're still counseling, because they're trying to teach, will throw something at you that might not have anything to do with you at all. And I've had that experience also.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a, what's both rough and beautiful about those experiences is when you get to the point where your identity becomes strong enough that you have those days where you say, oh, please, you can take that home with you. I didn't experience that.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with me. I mean, I've had some people tell me, this happened and that happened. I say, that did not happen, Might have happened in your little world, but it didn't happen in mine, you know.
Yeah.
Natalie, let me ask you something, because I don't want to block the experience, but is it maybe important for me to get hypnosis at some point for those alien interactions that I had, specifically going back to St. Leo College back in 1987, I believe it was? I mean, is there any value at this point or any feedback?
I've often wondered myself, should I? And then something says, nah. I don't know. That's a personal thing. What does it mean to you? You know
what's funny, Natalie, is we often know the answer already, and just with your little bit of feedback, I thought, I need to move forward. I certainly don't need to be going back to the past. I feel whatever happened, I feel no trauma from it whatsoever. I can only guess that it was a good experience. It was a little strange to wake up the next morning and find what I thought was blood all over the ceiling. But I had a can of ravioli that night, and I guess they decided that they were going to spray it all over because it was everywhere. It was, and there was this note, and this is really a trip. There's a note at my desk, and it in very small printed writing. It's not my writing. I can't print. I'm left-handed. I kind of learned to write backwards. And certainly this was clean and small writing. It wasn't mine, and it said on there, "My name is Todd Curran." Unless they forced me to write good, or they were going to hit me with the ravioli. I don't remember anything bad happening. I was scared mostly because the energy was overpowering these thought forms that were going through my head that this being was placing in my head. I felt no control. That was why I was afraid.
Definitely. You said it right there. There's no control.
We don't want no thought control. Pink Floyd, I'm thinking of The Wall, right? It's off the wall. We don't want no education, and they perhaps were educating us, and we couldn't understand it. And it's not every day you have a creature next to your bed that's exoskeleton, has the bones on the outside, and the eyes are as big as mirrors, and you can't even look in there to see any lies. There's nothing to see. That'd scare anybody.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so unusual. These creatures are not something that you can reflect off of. And if you look at it from that perspective, they have to be teaching us something, because you can't fool yourself with something like that. Do you know what I mean?
They're great protectors, too. I feel for some reason that they protect me.
That's good. That's good.
Well, it's always good to be protected, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But so I have this note, and it says, "My name is Todd Curran." And it says,
tell me more.
I am Polish/Prussian /Italian/Irish. I'm Prussia. Isn't that like World War II?
My grandmother was Prussian.
I mean, nobody would describe me as Prussian. That's not my nationality. I'm German.
My grandmother was from a part of Germany that was Prussia, Königsberg, Germany, and then they say it's Prussian. I'm interested in what you said earlier, Todd. You said you learned to write backwards? Because I've done that, too. Ever since I was little, I wanted to write backwards.
I write backwards when I print. That's why I don't print, because I have to take my pencil off the paper to write. I was taught by right-handers, and I think that's why. I just don't think that I think that they do it in the opposite order that I do. You know, so if I make a T, I end up going from right to left when I want to go left to right. So I just don't print, which has made it hard when I'm doing my class. That's why I'm starting to turn it into a PowerPoint, because I was always having to write on the chalkboard. I look like a mad professor, you know.
But I got to tell you, I really enjoyed your last lecture. It was very good.
Oh, thank you, Susan. I needed a truck to bring in all the easels and chalkboards I used in the last one.
Yeah. So I'll be traveling to with my laptop to hopefully get the PowerPoint up. I'm still working on it, but you know, it's stuff, you know, that Todd's going to do in the future. So in the very near future. So it's all good.
Yeah, we'll send off that those 6 flyers tomorrow, and you know, I can be intimidated by the form that I use, Susan, or the way that I use it, because I gotta figure out everyone's numbers so fast, along with the PowerPoint, and this is all going to what I wanted to do all along. Maybe this is human nature, because I didn't have the money to program. I always am looking at Z, and I always got to go from A all the way through, because I want this to be a I want to say automaton. I don't know what that means. I want it to autonomous. I want to be able to tell the program to bring the numbers up, so that we can look at people's numbers very quickly and then move to wherever direction we want to move to next, and to even make comparisons. You know, that would be the final step of what I'm trying to do, because really I would like to have this programmed, even if it was for a class, you know, or just to teach. I would like to always be able to teach it, but I need it programmed, you know, so that I can move wherever I want, you know, with it. It's strange to be futuristic and then not have the capital behind you to do what you want to do. It's really something, because here Susan is creating this website for me about ideas that I've wanted to do for 20 years, you know.
Wonderful.
But I guess there's a time and a place for everything, Natalie?
Yes. Susan is a wonderful woman.
Oh, thank you. So are you, Natalie. I just see so much, you know.
We've got a little bonding going on here.
Yes, we do. We all need a group hug, a virtual group hug.
Ooh, feels good.
So,
yes, it does.
So back to, were you Cancer or Leo?
I'm a Cancer, but I have tons of Leo in my chart.
Do you? Wow. Yeah, I just recognized that Leo there in you. Now, back to the paper. I mean, the Italian. You know, I'm not Italian. My dad looked like he was full Italian. You know, he wasn't. He looked like it. Polish. My relatives are Polish. You know, I'm not Polish. So it was just interesting. I guess in the end, the only thing that really stands out of that is the Prussian, because it's not. You wouldn't tell anybody they're Prussian in this day and age. Prussia's not written on a map anymore.
So
I mean, wasn't it part of Russia and
about?
Germany?
Yes. So maybe are you talking about past lives?
Exactly. I mean, if somebody's going to give you information, they're not going to bring up Prussia unless they're talking about past lives that specifically linked to World War II or before.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, when they talk about Hitler being in Austria, I think they say East Prussia, you know, so back then they would refer to Prussia, and I don't think it's used anymore.
It's not.
It's not on the map. So, interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. All of this is so interesting, and your experiences are just amazing. You know, it's just. Did either of you ever keep a journal of everything that happened, that transpired?
No, heck no. Like I said, I was scared to death as a child and a teenager, and I no way. Just the thought of them, I could feel them in my room. I knew when they were coming. No, but what's that, Susan?
I bet you could feel the energy, huh?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I knew that when I was going to sleep, I knew that they would come and wake me up. But I do a lot of writing now.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's very healing to write, and I found that out for myself. And I say to anybody out there, always keep a journal, dates, times, because like Todd's into numerology, and he can tell you dates are very important too. Dates and times that things happen. So I did that for a long time. Not only with extraterrestrial experiences, but a lot of psychic experiences too. So it always helps me deal.
Natalie,
Go ahead.
Natalie,
Go ahead.
your experiences are so interesting that I have to question whether you should look deeper into them.
Well, I have something interesting to tell you. I spoke to a wonderful medium and a channeler a couple of months ago, and she told me that when I'm 60, they'll be coming to get me again, and I'm going to remember the whole thing. And I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be writing a book.
You're going to come. You mean you're going to come back from the planetary experience? You mean?
Yes, I'm not going to be knocked out. I'm going to be taken, and it's going to be enjoyable. And they're going to thank me, and I'll be seeing my old friends.
Well, I like that story because I'd rather make a jump into the idea that it's all cleared away. And I love the very ending of that story because we can talk about all this fearful stuff and trauma, and it just hit me once again. It is all a clearing away. It's an illusion. It's to get us to the next level of healing. It's
That's right.
The intricacies of these stories that we go through are tools that in reality, like the towers of our illusions fall to the wayside and do not exist and have no they reflect nothing in the heavenly realms whatsoever. They were tools and nothing more than tools.
Yeah. All these experiences made us who we are today. The good and not so good, it all builds our character, and it all, makes us more knowledgeable. And the best thing that I can tell everybody out there is just to, if you've gone through something, no matter what it is, feel all your emotions, experience them, don't stuff it down, because that creates disease and other things. As in my case, but the point I'm getting to is, I always say feel, and then reveal.
Very good.
Tell people. That way, other people that have been in your shoes or are starting to go through what you've been through, kind of have like a bit of a guide to deal with their stuff.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you both being on the show tonight and revealing what happened to you, because I know it's going to help a lot of people down the line. They're afraid to talk about these things.
Well, Susan, I want to thank you for giving me a platform to express myself. And you both have been lovely people, and I find you both so interesting and real likable.
Same here. I feel the same way about you and Todd too. You guys, you just bring so much love and so much information and so much sharing and caring, I should say. To every term. people know that you're genuine and that you really do care, and that's, I think that's what I love about you guys the most, is that
listen, we've all been contacted by higher realms. I'm sitting in a lazy boy right now, feeling great. It wasn't that bad. Here I am. Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Well, I want to thank both of you. I really enjoyed it. Natalie, anybody that's willing to push the envelope like yourself is one of my heroes. The world needs more of them, and that's that Leo that you have in there. The warrior. Knievel had a lot of Leo in there. He was going to show up for the big show no matter what happened, because we need people to realize that there's nothing to fear but fear itself.
Exactly. That's so true. Is there anything
everything that happens in the universe is done for love and for nothing else. The outcome of everything is love. Love is the only thing that's real, because it's the only thing that is infinite, that lasts, that we remember. We don't remember the other stuff.
Todd, thank you for saying that. That is a wonderful thing to say. And I just want to add, fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God.
Yes. You're never alone.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't know how you memorized it, but it was great.
That was great.
I'm not good at memorization, but hey.
Me neither.
I think that was from Isaiah. I'm not too sure. It was Isaiah.
Yes.
Here's one more we can ponder. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth that is within you will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth that is within you will destroy you. Words of Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
From the Gnostic text.
Yay!
Big thumbs up.
I like the Gnostic Christian thing.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I always loved Christian Science, because it kind of like puts you into the metaphysical realm, because I'm coming from New York, I'm always like a show me type of person. It's like, prove it to me. And, metaphysics does that for me. It puts the science behind the spirituality. And that's why
we like to believe sometimes that we're a minority and so forth, and we're misunderstood and all that. Metaphysics is in every single aspect of medicine and all inventions, anything that's futuristic. New Age adds up to 11, vowels add up to 1. It's anything that's on the cutting edge, and it's infiltrated throughout everything. The metaphysical field is the advancement in the medical field. All of these concepts of the chakra systems that are at first hard to prove, history has shown time and time again that these things are understood later in time, and then they become our machineries, our new machines, our way of dealing with the spiritual body. No more hacking and slicing anymore, all done by a healing word. Lasers. Things are just, it's beyond our wildest imagination what the future is going to bring, because these spiritual technologies are already being used in the other realms. That's how we know to bring them down. We channel the energy of these in other states of consciousness, and we bring them down here. We are creating a heaven on earth. It's taking a long time, and this is a testing field. But this is where it is, right here and now. This is the heaven that we need to create, because this is where we are.
Yep, you have to bridge heaven and earth, and just as you said, we have to create a heaven on earth, and that's what we're all here for. So that's
what
great.
we're here to do. We're here to be happy. We're here to create those heavenly states through correct thinking.
Yes.
We have a right to be happy. We have a right to be here.
Absolutely. We absolutely do, each and every one of us. And, our paths may be different, but we're all going to, pretty much end up at the same place. So, no matter what religion everybody is, no matter what happened to everybody in their lives, we're all striving to make things better. It doesn't matter where you came from, it's where you're going to that counts.
I'm always amazed when I have a thought and then it's fleeting. And and then I say, if that thought was fleeting, was it ever there at all? Imagine when this program is over that we're running, and what we're trying to do is to live outside of the program, the deprogramming, so that we are spirits in the physical form, as opposed to allowing the physical form to overtake our spirituality through conformity, through brainwashing, So we're trying to do a deprogramming down here,
Absolutely. That's why I love that movie. The whole Matrix series is all about that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and it's so true, and that's what we need to do. We need to deprogram ourselves from, mass media, that says you have to look a certain way, that says that you need to spend all this money to live a lavish lifestyle and keep up with the Joneses, when really it's all about love. It's all about loving each other and it's taking care of each other, not the separatist type of thinking that we all grew up with. It's, I'm glad to see that things are slowly changing, actually more rapidly changing in the past few years, if not the last year, that people are realizing we are all one. We are all from the same source. We shouldn't be so separate, that we're all in this together, and that, it's hard to describe, the change that I've felt, I'm sure as well as both of you, that, going from a materialistic point of view to a spiritualistic point of view, that was my journey, because, I worked up to 5 jobs and nearly killed myself doing that just so I can be like other successful people. And having that realization that, hey, I don't really need that car. I really don't need that huge house. I really don't need this or that. That was huge for me, very huge, because, it's just a wonderful thing moving from materialism to spiritualism, because, you can be happy doing anything, anywhere, being comfortable in your own skin and feeling that love towards other people and not competition. That one line in that song, people live in competition, all I wanted to have my peace of mind. And of course
that was good, Susan. And you're talking about Boston's peace of mind, and Boston adds up to 22. They were definitely a visionary band. I love their music, I'm going through astrologically the dark night of the soul. I'm trying not to put too much emphasis on that, other than letting you two know in on that. And what's happened with me is that I'm living a very aesthetic life, a lot of walking and running, and because when you're going through the dark night of the soul, I guess you don't want a lot of projection of fear, and that probably would explain why 7 or 8 months ago, even though I went out and got Netflix, I haven't turned the TV on in 8 months, because I'm not interested in more of the segregation and separation of any kind of commercial products. I stopped seeing the cooperation in sports and the the violence, or I would get upset when I watched it and said I could do better. And I decided that I needed to completely get away from that, and I didn't see how any of it was doing anything to better my world, you know. So
right.
I had to cut all of that off, and I don't have any cravings for that anymore. Being enslaved to any kind of idea that I need something, it's not part of my reality, at least at this time.
Yeah, you know, and it's so true. You know, when you realize that, you know, especially with the mass media, it's all about separating everybody and competition. And, you know, I do enjoy some shows on there, but the majority of the reality shows, I mean, people are just being disgusting to each other. And, you know, it's all about competition, and it's all about, you know, who can get the best over somebody else. And that's what I don't like, you know. And even, do you remember, Natalie, growing up in schools, you know, how everything used to be such a big competition? You too, Todd. You know, do you remember anything in particular?
I remember my parents wanting me to be the best, and that being first was important, and getting straight A's was important. I was like a little robot trying to please my parents. And it was scary because inside I was a little hippie. I was a flower child, and this was the late 60s. I remember my grandmother knitting my family hats and mittens and scarves in Boston, and I would be walking home from school, and I would see a little boy who was freezing cold, and I would take off my mittens and my hat and give it to him. And then I'd get home and get in big trouble and even get a spanking because I gave away my mittens and my hat. You know, I just wasn't the person they were trying to mold me into something that I just wasn't.
Well, you came in as the old soul. You came in as the teacher, and it's hard to believe that our parents are the students in this case, but you know, it sure makes you look at children a lot differently because oftentimes you see the child as playing the adult role. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's tough when you're a child. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. I know. But what was your experience, Todd, like growing up? What was your first feeling of, you know, hey, this is wrong, that there's so much competition and separateness?
I don't really know at that point where that point was. I think it was in junior high school. I can act like it didn't affect me, but I started to tune out very early on. They say that when you come in as a double number, Susan, you don't believe what you see because the individual has incorporated certain experiences that are not necessarily reflected in the society or educational system. So I learned to tune out very early on. As a 7, I had really no interest in school whatsoever. As a young child, I wanted to write to 1,000,000 when I got home. I was interested in the shape of numbers, or I would see designs in the woods and so forth. So the educational system, to this day, in no sense was set up of anything that I found really a whole lot of favor for. You know, having said that, if I could do it all over again, I would have went straight into small business management that I did good at, and then go into the Institute of Art and Technology and learn how to, you know, gone into music production, or would have skipped all the sports and picked up an instrument. You know, would have done things a little differently. You know. Yeah. And I don't blame anybody for anything that happened to me because I was good in sports, so it was the route that I took. But you know, most of us don't think of what's the outcome of. I don't know. I don't think most people think of the outcome. They just do what comes natural that comes most natural to them. So my life took the natural run of course that it needed to take. Natalie, I had a dream. I love dreams. Lucid dreams are fascinating because they seem so real. And I started to write this story about this album cover. I was in this trailer in the New England area with these people, and we were looking at this album cover, and everyone was passing it around and saying, "Look, there's something in this album cover." And what it had to do with was this like this fence and the separation of these individuals through the symbols. I obviously still haven't written the story because I had forgotten part of the dream, but I remember walking outside of that trailer, and these FBI agents saying that I could not leave that area, that it was quarantined, that there were the whole community, New England community, was infiltrated by extraterrestrial that had come down here. Do you know? Is there any connection to New England? And I'm just trying to connect my dream with anything tangible that would make that area a hotspot for UFOs, or anything that you know. I also wanted to point out that Boston, Massachusetts, Boston adding up to 22, Massachusetts adding up to 33, and then Boston, Massachusetts adding up to 55. That specific area would seem to me to be a portal for other worlds based on those numbers, that you can pretty much map out the energy field of this of the United States as potential beacons for UFO landings or wormhole areas.
It really is, because many of my friends, young friends, when I was young, saw UFOs. My family members have seen them. It certainly is. New England definitely is a portal. And I also will tell you that the people, the government there does not like it. You cannot talk about UFOs in New England.
Wow.
I feel like I was persecuted I would be persecuted if I spoke about it.
When I dreamt about that, I was from Jersey, and when I dreamt about it, I just thought, wow, where do these things come from? These feelings. That's fascinating. Yeah. I have a astrological line going right through that area as being the most positive area for me to live in the United States, that and one going through around Phoenix, and I haven't been west that much, but it certainly was. It was the best place I ever lived. I often think of going back in those areas. I just don't want to have to deal with the government men,
Oh, absolutely. Hey, I just wanted to keep you on top of the time. We only have about a minute and 33 seconds. Believe it or not, it's been almost 2 hours. The time really flies, doesn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Susan, I love you. Susan, I love you. And Todd, I love you already.
Well, I love both of you, and I really enjoyed it. And thanks for reaching out with your claws or whatever. I can't see you. Probably some pretty fingernails on there. You're probably the real creative Leo. I hope you don't have claws on you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank both of you very much.
Thanks, you guys, for being on the show. I want to thank Lee also for calling in. And,
bye, Lee.
And I just want to say I love you both, and Lee too, and and everybody out there for listening, just know you are not alone, and we'll be having more of these discussions. And I'd love to have both Natalie and Todd back on anytime, and going to send love to you. And with that note, have a good night.
Good night.